The Chicago Bulls sure know how to make us work for it, as the Chicago Bulls have a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter, but yet only win the game by 2 points as the Utah Jazz go on a big run in the fourth, but the Bulls are able to avoid that run and still get the dub. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Eric Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And man, this was a fun game. I want to be straightforward there. This was a very fun game today. Both teams score over 30 points in every single quarter but one quarter. The Chicago Bulls, the only quarter they did not score 30 points in was the third quarter, where the Utah Jazz scored 32. And then for the Utah Jazz, they only did not score 30 points in the second quarter, where the Chicago Bulls scored 35. But this was a back-and-forth game for the entirety of the night. The Bulls did have a 12-point lead at one point in the fourth quarter of this game, but that was not safe. Not safe at all, because despite that lead that the Chicago Bulls did have, the Utah Jazz go on a 22-12 run in the last 5 minutes of that game, and they were in a position that they could have very well won this game. Now, the Bulls went on a 16-6 run with 9 minutes and 16 seconds left, down to the 5-minute and 11-second mark, and at that point, the Bulls were up by 2 points when that lead started. They found themselves up by 12 points by the end of that run. But then the Utah Jazz go on a crazy run, a 22-12 run down the stretch of that game, where you had Keyonte George scoring 13 points in that run alone by himself. He goes on an 8-0 run over 1.5 minutes by himself to make this game interesting down the stretch of this game, and it ended up coming down to just a great series by the Chicago Bulls, where Tre Jones makes an amazing pass to be able to get the ball to Nikola Vucevic. Vuce scores a season-high 35 points in this game. He goes 14 of 22 from the field, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, only 1 turnover and 2 blocks from Nikola Vucevic. This is about as good of a game as you're going to get from Nikola Vucevic in this modern era. That's about all you're going to get from Vuce. And listen, we don't win this game without the game that Nikola Vucevic has. We just don't. Say what you will about Vuce, and this does not excuse the season that he's had or anything like that, but we don't win this game if he does not have the type of game that he did. He was the leading scorer tonight for the Chicago Bulls. Even though the Bulls had 7 players scoring in double figures, you needed somebody to have a big game, and that was Vuce. Modest Buzelis only plays 19 minutes in this game, doesn't check back into the fourth quarter of this game. I don't know what's going on there. You know, he wasn't the best defensively today, but only 7 points from him, only 7 points from Tre Jones, only 6 points from Coby White. Coby White with 5 turnovers in this game. Coby White was just bad during a large portion of this game, and I'm going to be 100% honest. You guys know I'm a Coby White fan, but Coby White should not have been in the game in the fourth quarter. I'm going to keep the same energy. I say it about Nikola Vucevic when Vuce is playing bad. Coby White should have not been in this game in the fourth quarter of this game. Now, you know, Dalen Terry scored more than Patrick Williams in this game. I'm sorry, than Coby White. Patrick Williams scores more than Coby White in this game. You could have went to some other players. Coby White should not, and I'll repeat, should have not been in this game in the fourth quarter. Sure, he chipped in 7 rebounds, 7 assists, but those 5 turnovers and one key one down the stretch that almost cost the Bulls this game, Coby White got to get his shit together. He just absolutely has to get his shit together. And I'll tell y'all what, I know people are going to say, see, this is why we got to trade Coby White. If Coby don't play better, ain't nobody going to want to trade for him. They're going to wait to free agency. So Coby got to play better. He has to be better down the stretch of this game. I get it. He's coming back from injury. But if you're going to play like absolute ass cheeks in the fourth quarter, you don't need to be in there. I say the same thing for Vuce. I'm going to say the same thing for Coby White. I'm going to say the same thing for any Bulls player. I would like to see Billy Donovan bench more veterans when they're not playing good. That's what I would like to see. I would just like to see that. Coby didn't play good today. He shouldn't have been in the game in the fourth quarter of this game. He just shouldn't have. When Dalen Terry and Patrick Williams outscore you and they have more defensive capability, put one of their asses out when Coby can't play well. Because Coby played like ass today. But luckily, we got back to our usual bench production because Coby White was back in the starting lineup. The Chicago Bulls had 61 points off the bench overall today, and the Utah Jazz had 58 points off the bench, but over 40 of those came just from Brice Sensabaugh, so take that for what you will. This was one of those games. Cardiac Bulls strike again. The Bulls, this should have been a game where the Bulls probably won by double digits. Probably 8 to 10 points the Bulls should have won this game by. But because of the Bulls' inability to limit turnovers and stuff in the fourth quarters of this game and get stops, it made it interesting down the stretch of this game. But, to get back to talking about that bench, I would assume with 15 points off the bench, he was 6 of 11 from the field, 6 assists, 2 rebounds in this game, 3 steals, all really important for the Bulls. 10 points from Kevin Huerter, 11 from Dalen Terry, 13 from Patrick Williams, 12 from Jalen Smith. Every bench player scored in double figures today, whereas we had 3 starters that scored in single digits. So, you need that. But for what it's worth, the Bulls shot the ball excellently today. 51% from the field as a team, 40% from 3. The Utah Jazz shoot 55% as a team and 29% from 3. The Bulls also go 7 of 21 from the free throw line. The Utah Jazz had 27 free throws in this game and hit 24 of them. That's just where the Bulls struggle at. The Bulls won the rebounding battle. When we talk about the gritty stats, as I call them, points in the paint went to the Utah Jazz, 72 to 60. 16 second chance points compared to 13 for the Utah Jazz compared to the Chicago Bulls. They won off fast break points, 20 to 12 as well. When you look at those gritty stats that I think really do determine who usually wins a game, the Bulls only won in the bench points in 61 points coming off the bench, and they tied in points off turnover 16 to 16. But every other one of those gritty stats, the Utah Jazz won. The Utah Jazz played a pretty damn good game today. I mean, of course, you have the unexpected performance. Like, not to say that you don't expect Sensabaugh to score, but 43 points coming off the bench. This is the biggest bench performance that the NBA's seen, I think they said, in like 3 or 4 years. 43 points off the bench. He goes 15 of 22 and 5 of 10 from the three-point line to kill the Bulls. 8 of 8 from the free throw line as well. You get Keyonte George with 25 points. 13 of those came late in the fourth quarter of that game. That you actually held him you maintained him pretty much throughout the game, but 17 shots to get 25 points. He ends up killing you down the stretch. Kyle Filipowski with 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in this game. But overall, the Bulls came away with the victory, and that is the most important thing. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't the best, but they came away with a victory in this first game with among 3 easier games for the Chicago Bulls. Now we just got to see how they're going to perform, man. But like I said, bad performance from Coby down the stretch of this game. Trey Jones didn't shoot the ball well, but luckily he made some plays down the stretch. He had 4 steals to go along with his 8 assists in this game, even when he didn't score. Matas Buzelis was basically benched in the fourth quarter of this game. And luckily, once again, the Bulls are saved by their bench. If it's not for the Chicago Bulls bench today, they don't win this game. Vooch and the bench stepped up big time for this game, in this game for the Bulls. You just got to love to see that because you need people to step up. You need people to play above their role when you're struggling as a team, and the Bulls took care of that. But I'm not going to let Billy Donovan off the hook here either. When the Jazz went on that stretch and Keyonte George went on an 8-point run by himself, Billy Donovan, I get it that you want to maintain some timeouts. I understand that, and I'm not going to act like I don't understand having timeouts down the stretch of the game. But Billy Donovan didn't make any adjustments. He didn't call any timeout to stop the momentum. And I don't know if that was intentional. Maybe it's a let these players figure it out themselves type thing. And that could very well be it. But just down the stretch of this game, I think between coaching, between the mistakes by Coby and some others as well, you just would have liked to see Billy Donovan make an adjustment. And he didn't. Because I personally would have took Coby White out of that game and probably honestly put Dalen Terry in. With the way that Keyonte George and Sensabaugh were completely killing you. I know that that's probably controversial to say, but because Dalen Terry was actually shooting the ball well today, 3 or 4 from the three-point line, and we know that Dalen Terry is at least effective defensively, I would have probably put Dalen Terry in there. And I know I'm the Coby White defender, but I can't defend this performance at all. There's no amount of glazing that needs to be done for Coby White. Coby was actively hurting his team today. And if that's what you're going to do, if that's the performance that you're going to give when it matters the most and you're in the trenches in a game, you need to sit your ass down. So that's just something that I'm looking at down for this game. It was a little bit tough for this team, but hey, it is what it is. Let's see how you guys are feeling about it. Rob says, after a timeout, your defense set gives you up that easy layup. Why didn't Billy have in better defenders? He had 2 timeouts too. I don't know, man. That's something I'm questioning myself. I don't understand what Billy Donovan expected to happen defensively there when you see that the Utah Jazz are absolutely cooking you, right? And so you got to try something different. And Billy Donovan does that a lot as a head coach. There's times where Billy Donovan, it's like he just thinks by staring at it, eventually it's going to change. And it's like, that's not how this works, Billy. That's not how any of this works. You got to actively go out there and try to force some type of change. Do something that the team doesn't expect. You think the Utah Jazz expected Sensabaugh to have 41 points coming off the bench? No, right? But they rolled the hot hand. Kobe White was cold today. And, you know, Kobe's talked about being out of rhythm with the injuries and the calf stuff that he's dealt with. He didn't have it down the stretch of this game. You could have lost this game because you decided to keep Kobe White in this game. And, again, I'm not saying that that's all on Billy Donovan. A lot of it's on Kobe White and his performance. But you as a head coach got to do something to get it done. So, hey. Amazing game, so much fun on our way to 500. Vooch is the definition of crazy toxic relationship. When it's bad, but when it's good, it's great. See red. I mean, shout out to Vooch for having the performance that he did today. And, you know, as Vooch gets older and he ages and stuff like that, you're going to see performances like this from Vooch less and less. It's evident this season. Go and look versus last season and this season for Vooch. That's how quickly your age can come back to bite you in the ass in the NBA. But Vooch, 35 points in 31 minutes off 22 shots. Hey, this was a really good performance by Nikola Vucevic when we needed it the most from him. Interesting, we win with a couple of circus passes to a low post lane by Vooch. Hey, it is what it is. Get the win any way you can get the goddamn win. That's what I say. The Bulls got the win today, which is the most important. What the hell is going on with my stream deck? I have to figure that out later. But get the win any way you can get the goddamn win. That's just what it comes down to. You got to get the win by any means necessary. The Cardiac Bulls win again. Can we please be better at closing out the game? Listen, at this point, let's just win, Darren, right? Like I say with the Chicago Bears all the time. Let's win first. We can figure out how to make it pretty later down the road. But I'm glad that the Bulls got this win and avoided going on another losing streak for sure. Bruce, whoever he is, had 43. I said 41. Yeah, 43 points is crazy. It's always some nobody who has a career. Oh, no, Sensabaugh isn't a nobody. Reginald, I don't know how much that you watch the Utah Jazz, but Sensabaugh is far from a nobody. Now, I'm not saying he's like some superstar player, but he's a player that can fill it up. When he gets hot and he gets on a roll, he can absolutely fill it up. And he's young. He's only 22 years old. You gotta go. I know the Utah Jazz are a very bad basketball team, but you got to watch a little bit more Utah Jazz basketball. They can Sensabaugh can fill it up. Not trying to be negative, but Billy's substitutions down the stretch almost cost us again. I kept screaming, take Kobe out the game the way he was playing down the stretch and put in Ayo or Modest in. Listen, I would have gone Dalen Terry. Modest wasn't playing great defensively either down the stretch of this game. I would have had Dalen Terry in. And Ayo was in the game down the stretch. Ayo was in the game. Unless I'm tripping, but Ayo was in the game down the stretch. It's Dalen Terry who I would have put in, or P. Will. P. Will and Smith should have been used on defense at a minimum a couple of possessions that final 4:30. Billy's lucky they won. His decision having Kobe in was a mistake. He had reached his 25-minute and went over again. Well, they did up his minutes limit. So I don't think Kobe White's minutes restriction is 25 minutes anymore. They talked about, I can't remember what they said it was, but at the beginning of the game, they talked about his minutes restriction had been raised some. So it wasn't about that, but he shouldn't have been in the game regardless because he was playing bad. That is the Bulls' way. Half the leagues, nobody's has career nights against the Bulls. Like I said, y'all got to watch more Utah Jazz. Sensabaugh isn't really a nobody for this Jazz team. Kobe White with 2 boneheaded plays that almost cost us the game. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Acme right now, Vooch is too valuable to be traded. That may just secure Vooch's contract extension. I'm joking. Vooch doesn't need a contract extension, but hey. If Kobe gets injured again, it's all on Kobe and Billy. Glad we at least won the game. I mean, listen, it is what it is. Scary money don't make money. You know something? Zach LaVine was our max player and he got benched, but yet the starters, except for maybe Vooch, was not playing too well, and they got to close out the game. I mean, yeah, he got benched in the fourth quarter once, but let's not act like Billy Donovan did it a lot. As a matter of fact, I think everything that kind of blew up from that was the last time that Billy Donovan did that consistently. So we got the dub thanks to that save by Okoro and Trey, but game plan, defense, and overall balance was a mess at times. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Bulls don't win pretty very often. I mean, just to be frank, the Bulls don't win pretty a lot, and they definitely didn't win pretty today. So, like I said, the most important thing is getting the dub and then figuring out how to learn from that and balance shit out better. But thank God they got the dub. Kobe should have been on the floor, but Billy will never break from his patterns. Shouldn't have been on the floor, I guess is what you mean by that. But yeah, I mean, exactly. I don't disagree with that at all. That's pretty much same sentiments I have for sure. Right, this is why we should have had already traded Kobe. Oh, see, no, that's just stupid. That's just, yeah, like, y'all, again, like I said before, the scissoring that's being done between dumbassery and idiocracy is growing a lot around here. Modest got pulled the first 2 minutes for two defensive mistakes. One was the rebound given up, but he could have gotten into the late in the game, in my opinion. The offense looked like a deer in the headlights on offense most of the 4:30 left. Why are you wording? That's such a weird way to word that, Rob. But, I mean, listen, like I said, I would have put in Dalen Terry. Modest didn't play much better either. But Vooch deserved to be in this game. Other games held. Exactly. Like, this was a game where Vooch played well down the stretch of this game. Vooch absolutely deserved to be in this game. And that's why I say it needs to be situational, right? Like, I do think when Zach Collins gets back, like Vooch, he needs to earn fourth quarter minutes, meaning that if Vooch is playing bad, sit his ass in the fourth. But he scored 16 points in the fourth quarter today. Vooch absolutely deserved to be in this game. Kobe scored no fourth quarter points. He had more turnovers than shots made. He didn't deserve to be in the game down the stretch of this one. He just didn't. Modest Buzelis played 0 minutes in the fourth quarter of this game. He should have been in this. I'm not saying that he should have been in late in the game. I would have played him a little bit more size. To Rob's point, Jalen Smith only played 2 minutes and 42 seconds in the fourth quarter of this game. No minutes for Dalen Terry, who played well for you today. There's a number of different players you could have went to today instead of Kobe White down the stretch of this game. Kobe was like he wasn't really there. I hope he gets ready and focused for the next game. Kobe got to wake the fuck up. I mean, just to be 100% frank with you, Kobe got to wake the fuck up. You need better. When Kobe White first came back from injury, even though he was struggling at times and not shooting the ball efficiently, you can go look. He had some pretty big fourth quarters when he came back from injury. You play like ass the fourth quarter of this game. I don't want to keep beating up Kobe White in regards to this, but you need to be better. You need to be better down the stretch of this game. Definitely has about as much as we can expect from Vooch in 2026. Why did they go away from him after the quick 11 points in the first? That's just kind of how it works, right? Like, you feed your big man early to keep him involved, and then you kind of let him earn the minutes. But you scored 35 points. Even with the 11 in the first, 16 in the fourth, he still got involved in that a little bit more. I mean, there's still 10 other points that he scored over that. But, I think Vooch isn't a player that you can just go to consistently, in my opinion, because he's going to have some trouble. He's going to have some trouble if you go to him too much, too early. But, we'll see. I've seen enough of Kobe White. It doesn't seem like he fit well. I don't understand why Billy Donovan left him in the game. Go Vooch. Kobe White fits with this team. He's just coming back from injury, and he's not playing well right now. Utah did something that Chicago Bulls should have did late in the game. They were attacking the basket, especially knowing that they were in the penalty. Oh, once they got in the bonus in the fourth, and that is something that is frustrating about this Bulls team pretty consistently, is that when we get teams in trouble in the fourth quarter, in the bonus in the fourth quarter, it's like we stop attacking. It's almost like we're like, oh, bet, we got them in the bonus. If they foul, we go to the free throw line. Yeah, but force the fucking issue, idiots. Like, that's what teams do. When you get in the bonus, it's at that point, I'm going to keep going to the paint until you stop me. And then when the defense starts collapsing, all right, now the three-point shot's open. I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. Shay says, Hayes, you might disagree with this, but I would have given the Lakers Isaac and just let Terry start at the three. Listen, I'm not saying that Isaac Okoro and the production, even in the advanced analytics, is the most amazing, but it's better than Dalen Terry's. I get what you're getting at, though, especially with Dalen Terry being a young player. And like I said, when Patrick Williams, when the Bulls traded for Isaac Okoro, and it was clear by the way they were talking at Media Day that it was clear Isaac Okoro or Kevin Huerter was going to be the starter, If I'm Patrick Williams, if I'm Dalen Terry, if I'm Julian Phillips, I would have looked at that and been like, Okoro's not better shooter than us. He's a more active defender, but we can get active. And that just goes to show you why activity and players that do actually look the part end up getting the minutes, because Isaac Okoro's production isn't amazing. But one thing that you see from Isaac Okoro is that he's always around the ball. He's always like, you see him diving after the ball. You see him, trying to force players into bad position or bringing in help defense. There's times where you just don't see that consistently from P. Will, Julian, or Dalen. And I would have taken that personally. If I'm those players and you brought in somebody who's basically a non-fucking factor offensively and you brought them in for defense, and that's something that we're supposed to be known as a young player, you should have taken that and been like, bet, let me step this up real quick. And it's just not there. Not throwing P. Will out there to potentially switch the Okoro onto Sensabaugh was done. Oh, man. That you make a great point, but you could have did that with Dalen too. Like, like Kobe wasn't giving you shit. Bring somebody out there to where you can switch on that pick and roll. You can try to force some mismatches defensively. You can do something. And, again, Billy Donovan's coaching. We don't see that. Yeah, I understand Modest asked to be held accountable, but Billy has to really stop doing this to Modest over one minor thing for mistakes. Like, come on now, Billy, let's be serious. Modest needs to learn. Yeah, but I also think you need to win basketball games. And it will be one of those things if the Bulls are in a position of where it's like, all right, we're willing to lose games so the young players can learn. The Bulls aren't that. When the Bulls are in a position to try to win a game, they're going to try to win that game. They're not going to risk a young player messing them up down the stretch. They're just not going to do that. Now, I'm not saying that I disagree with you. I think, that's part of development. Absolutely. You are not wrong on that at all, brother. But I think that with the Bulls being in a position where they're still prioritizing winning over anything else, that you're going to see decisions like that being made down the stretch of the game for the Bulls. Most points scored by a bench player in 20-plus years. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's wild. That's wild. The last two games, Vuce has been more active on defense, at least. He has. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And, Sengun is the type of center that Vuce actually plays pretty well defensively against. Like, there are a few centers around the league that Vuce plays really solid defense against. Sengun's one. Sabonis, he's decent against. He has his games against Nikola Vučević as well. It's just those type of centers he has good games against. In this one, coming in with Jusuf Nurkic, he again played pretty damn good against Nurkic. I find it curious that Billy shows such confidence in Kobe and coming back from injury, but it doesn't extend the same logic to the development of Modest. That is actually an amazing comment there. I mean, I think that respect is earned. When you go and look at what Kobe White has done over the last 3 years in fourth quarters, he's earned that respect kind of over years. But you still got to understand and read each game individually, right? And I think that's the thing that we've seen from Billy Donovan is that sometimes he overly trusts his vets. And he trusted based off history, but at the same time, you got to realize, like, when a guy just doesn't have it. Kobe's coming back from injury. He doesn't have it yet. Down the stretch of this game, Kobe didn't deserve to be in. And it could have been a learning experience for Modest Buzelis, absolutely. I wish Billy had the awareness Giddey has, LOL. The game he told Billy to ride the guys out there, pause. First of all, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, listen, Billy has his blind spots as a coach. There's just no doubt about that. Like, there's anybody who's watched this team objectively can tell you Billy Donovan's blind spots as a coach sometimes show up at the most inopportune moments possible. That's just who Billy is as a coach. I'm not saying that to say that's just who Billy is. Let's just not complain about it. But as long as Billy Donovan is the head coach, that's probably going to be you're going to experience that a lot from Billy Donovan. And he's just going to have to figure it the fuck out. Yesterday was a good loss. Today was a bad win, so we deserve it. Hey, listen, you don't win all the games you should win. You don't lose every game that you should lose. That's just sports in general. And that goes to sometimes you need to be sometimes you're going to be more lucky than good. And the Bulls were lucky down the stretch of this game. That play that between Isaac Okoro to save the ball, Trey Jones to pass it to Vuce, that was lucky. That was lucky down the stretch of that game. It just honestly was. And with the way that Keontae George was scoring, it's kind of luck that he missed that shot as well. So sometimes you just need luck. Hayes, when the last time the Chicago Bulls made 20-plus three-pointers? And I don't fucking know. Like, it's always Jeremy, bro. It's always Jeremy. It's always Jeremy. It's always Jeremy, bro. Every single fucking time, it's always Jeremy. It's always Jeremy. Dudes, you have to make a gif or tune of both words scissoring. That's an amazing saying. Yeah, that's listen. I'm not that talented to create images to do shit like that. I can make a fire ass thumbnail and a fire ass logo, but I don't know if I'm that talented to do something like that. Hayes, I don't know why Billy didn't go through with Io over White, especially when he was getting to the basket very easy, and not to mention he does draw more fouls. Why do y'all keep saying Io wasn't in the game? Io played all but 3 minutes in the fourth quarter of this game. Io technically played more minutes, almost 2 more minutes than Kobe White did in the fourth quarter of this game. Io was in this game down the stretch. Feels like Kobe was at his best last season. DeMar DeRozan didn't play for the Chicago Bulls last season. He didn't play a single game for the Bulls last season. Now, last season was Kobe White's best year, but he did not. DeMar DeRozan was not on the Bulls at all last year. He did not play a single game for the Chicago Bulls. What happened to needing to win games when your vets play like ass? See Kobe tonight. That's. Hey, listen. Hey, it is what it is. Does Modest have enough status with the organization to ask Billy to be fired? Will they listen? No, he's a second-year player. He's not a star yet, so no, he does not. He does not have that type of cachet with this team, and I don't think any player does, to be honest with you. I think that the front office and ownership love Billy Donovan, and I do not think that Billy Donovan will ever be fired. I do think he can be replaced and promoted from head coach to a different role, but at this point, Billy Donovan's going to be much like Doug Collins, who was getting paid by the Bulls up until 2 years ago, much like John Paxson, who's still on the Chicago Bulls staff and payroll. I think Billy Donovan, as long as he wants to be in Chicago, he's going to be in Chicago. Now, that doesn't mean he'll always be a head coach. Maybe he'll move on to a different role at some point. Maybe he'll become an assistant GM so he can learn that role and eventually become the GM, take over from Mark Eversley. But as long as Billy Donovan wants to be in Chicago, Billy Donovan's going to be in Chicago. And again, that's not an endorsement from me. That's a realization from me, right? So I want to be clear here. Do not take that as me saying, oh yeah, Billy's going to be here and he should be here. That is not what I'm saying here. But I'm just saying that I don't think Billy Donovan leaves until Billy Donovan wants to leave. That's just my personal opinion. Acting like 23s is a normal amount. Good win, Bulls. Almost let Sensabaugh, or however you spell his last name, destroy you. Oh, absolutely cooked you. Absolutely cooked you. Hell, I would have had P. Will in the game over Kobe. The way P. Will played good today. That's how you know you were trash today. If I have to say, I would have preferred P. Will in clutch over you. Hey, I mean, you're not wrong. In either way, you're not wrong by what you're saying. That's how bad Kobe White was down the stretch of this game. He was ass today. Absolute ass, bro. Like, Kobe White was so ass today that Zion Williamson almost mistaked him for one of the porn stars Zion slides in the DMs for. That's how much ass Kobe White was today. It was a lot of bad ass out there today, and that was Kobe White. Hayes, I was talking about late in game, like taking Kobe White out and putting Io in. Io was in there to close. That's what I'm saying. Io was in there to close. Like I said, unless I'm tripping, I don't know if the minutes by minutes breakdown was in there, but unless I'm tripping, I would assume it was out there. Yeah, he played. He played down the stretch of that game. Now, I don't have the exact minute by minute breakdown yet, but yeah. The entire organization needs a complete overhaul. It's top to bottom. Well, it's just not going to happen. Like, I hear you, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, but it's not going to happen. It's just, what's his name? Arturas Karnisovas is going to have his position for at least, he's been in it 6 years. Typically, a person who holds the president, we've only had, if I'm not mistaken, we've only had 4 presidents of basketball operation in our entire existence. So he's going to be in that position for a while, man. I'm guessing you saw this, but Brett Siegel said he would be surprised if the Bulls don't make a move before the trade deadline. I saw that, but I mean, that's just pure speculation. Like when Brett Siegel reports something, it's different than his speculation. He is much like every basketball pundit. He speculates as well, but we'll see. Dalen Terry makes you want to turn the TV off half the time, but at least he'll give you 100% every minute he can. He was integral tonight. Shout out Dalen. Oh, yeah, Dalen played great today. Efficient shooting night from Dalen. He was active defensively, was Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry played really good basketball tonight. And he does deserve that acknowledgement because we talk about it when Dalen doesn't play good. Dalen deserved the acknowledgement for playing well today, for sure. Sensabaugh is not an unknown player. Y'all got to watch more general NBA. Sensabaugh is not unknown. Like maybe unknown to y'all, but Sensabaugh is not an unknown player. Like, he's a scorer off that bench. He's averaging, I think, 11 points per game, which is going to go up after this game for sure. But he's a player that has had big scoring performances before. Just he has. But all right, the Bulls get a win today. That's the most important thing. They get the dub. Now we got to see if they can do it again 2 more times against the Brooklyn Nets. If the Chicago Bulls can win both games against the Brooklyn Nets, which I'm not saying is a given. That's a big if with this Chicago Bulls team, with how they've been this season. The Bulls are right back at 500 if they can do that. Right back at 500 with Josh Giddey maybe on the precipice to return next week. We'll see what the Bulls can do, man. Again, with how close the Eastern Conference is, you can't even count out the Bulls with how their season has been. And we got to see if the Bulls are going to take advantage of it, because we know one thing is that the Bulls are definitely not going to be trying to tank. They're going to be trying to win these games. So we'll see if they can. But you guys can follow us at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, stay safe, go Bulls, and always see red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.